Hey, what's going on? This is Aaron Luttrull and Greg Keith, the Aaron Advantage team, with our very first live Real Talk Real Estate episode with both of us. This is episode 37, I believe. I've been pumping these out for a while now. I'm really excited to get going. Last week was a crazy busy Monday, so I didn't have time to do a full live episode. So I put out a challenge to all of you to give us your questions, kind of an Ask Me Anything or Ask Us Anything episode for tonight. So we're going to give Greg his first opportunity to do a live video with us. Going to kind of have him go through some of the questions and give you a little bit of perspective from someone who's brand new in the business to someone who's obviously been doing this for a lot longer time. So first off, Greg, why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself and let the people know who you are and kind of how long you've been in real estate and what you bring to the table.
Hey everybody, as you said, I'm Greg Keith. I've known Aaron for a good 8-9 years now. I was a teacher for 12 years and the right opportunity came to work with Aaron, something I've been eyeing for a while, and I chose to take it. I have actually been in real estate. I received my license last week on Monday. So that was
I was going to say we're like 2 weeks in.
Two weeks in. But I've been off in the ground running a week before that. So I'm 3 weeks in, and this has just been a crazy busy, exciting week with Aaron Advantage.
Excellent. So, as I mentioned previously, we've got a list of questions that came in. You asked, we're going to answer, but as we are doing this, if you have any additional questions that you want to know about, let us know in the comments. We'll try to keep an eye on that. As he's reading the questions and I'm looking at everything, I've got a video running over here as well, so you may see me kind of going from place to place. I apologize in advance, but while we're going, Greg, why don't you go ahead and kick us off and start reading some of these questions off?
Hey, let's start with a little bit of, so people know a little bit about more me and you.
Okay.
What do you love about real estate?
Oh, what do I love about real estate? Well, everything. I got into real estate when I was 19 years old, and I've been doing it for 12 years now. July 31st, actually, tomorrow will be my 12-year anniversary since I started in real estate, so that's pretty exciting. Didn't even think about that until I just looked at the date. But really what I love about it is I have an opportunity to help people with the biggest decisions that they're making in their lives a lot of time. It's an opportunity to kind of have an impact that's going to last for a long time. And not only that, it's a hell of a lot of fun. I really enjoy helping people get their home on the market, doing the marketing, all the digital marketing stuff I'm doing, videos, drones, photos, just everything about the industry is something that I love. So as somebody who's brand new in the business, what do you love about it so far?
Well, first of all, I got into this because I just absolutely love people. I have a passion for people. I think people are the coolest thing. I could sit at the mall all day and watch people and be completely content. But the more I'm getting into it, I love the rat race. I love running here to there, making the contact, again, getting to meet more new people. And I got to admit, the people at FC Tucker have made this so exciting, such a great transition, a great company, great leaders. We're really lucky to have them in our area.
Absolutely. So, all right, on to the next question.
We want some solidity when we're buying a house. Right. So what do you look for when you get an inspector, and what does a home inspection cover?
Okay, that's a great question. This is something that I get all the time, especially with first-time home buyers, is if they're looking at certain things in the home, is this going to pass inspection?
True.
A lot of people think inspections are a pass-fail institution. The truth of the matter is they are not at all pass-fail. Ultimately, what a home inspector is going to do is they're going to get into the property. They're going to take a look on the roof, in the attic. They're going to get in the crawl space, check your wiring, check your plumbing, check the HVAC, all the major components of the house. We live in an area where they may do radon testing. They're going to do termite checks. Basically, they're going to do everything they can to provide an informational report based upon their knowledge and their scope of what they see when they're there at the house to allow you to determine what, if anything, you want to ask the seller to repair or negotiate on moving forward with that process.
Now, Aaron, it's also worth pointing out that a home inspection is not a warranty.
No, it is not a warranty of any kind. It's what they see when they're there for informational purposes. It's an unfortunate fact that sometimes everything looks great at the home inspection, and then down the road, it's happened to me plenty of times where people have lived in their house 1, 2, 3 days. AC goes out, furnace goes out. Right. I mean, these are things that can absolutely happen. So don't ever expect a home inspection to be a warranty of any kind. It's there for your information to help you moving forward. But home ownership is home ownership.
Right.
Things come up.
And I'll go ahead and add, too, that if you get an inspection and there's something false. So let's say that you get up on the roof and it looks like it's hail damage.
Right.
It is perfectly okay for you to call in an expert to get a better look at that.
Absolutely. As a matter of fact, that happened on the house that I just purchased. Home inspector pointed out a couple things. He said, hey, I think these need further evaluation, get a roofer out here. And I was able to call a buddy of mine who owns a roofing company, have him come out, take an additional look. And he's like, hey, definitely see what he was pointing out. Luckily, I think the damage is minimal enough. You don't have anything to worry about. So that extra set of eyes is definitely something always good to have there.
Absolutely. So since we're on inspectors, would you consider somebody getting an inspector on an as-is property?
100% yes, every single time. The only time I say you don't need to have a home inspection is if you're an investor who knows what you're doing, what you're getting into, you have some contracting knowledge, and you're like, hey, I see the things I'm going to take care of. I'm planning on gutting this house anyways. Maybe at that point in time, you don't need to worry about having a home inspection. But if you're buying a home, especially if it's as is, it is a great way to protect your investment on that property. You're not necessarily going to be going in there looking for the same things that everybody else is when you know it's as is, but you want somebody to check out to see if there's any major things that come up, like any kind of mold in the crawl space or attic spaces or major foundational issues, because even though it's an as-is purchase, you still have the opportunity to cancel that contract if something major does come up on that.
Right. Okay, and last question on inspectors. How do we find a quality one? I know we've got a network of quality ones. Would you suggest contact a realtor?
Absolutely. If you're buying a home, you're probably working with a real estate agent a lot of times. They're going to have a great relationship with a lot of vendors in general, but especially home inspectors. Ask your real estate agent, hey, do you have a list of people that you've worked with that you recommend? Now, I always tell people, I'm going to give you a list of people that I recommend or that I have a relationship with, but it's a good idea to go ahead and research them. Home inspectors are going to have plenty of information that you can find online. Quick Google search of Evansville home inspector is going to give you a list of people that you can check out. Do your research, do your due diligence. This person's going to tell you the condition of your home where you're going to live. You're taking out a mortgage a lot of times, 30 years on this. You should definitely make sure you've got somebody who you can call and ask them some questions, figure out some additional information, and if there are any specific people who have worked with them in the past, call their references as well. It's a great opportunity for you to find out exactly who and what they're going to do.
All right, sorry, I was reading this question. Mark Lush, you made me giggle just a little bit while he's talking about the inspectors. One other thing about inspectors, find somebody who's pro-technology. It is amazing what these guys are able to find now with the advent, well, not the advent, but like the maturity of technology and able to get into those nook and crannies. Check heat to cool ratios. It's
thermal
really
cameras,
impressive.
all kinds of different stuff.
Absolutely. All right, let's go with Mark here.
Yeah.
If people are in my house for an open house or a showing for that matter, do they go through my drawers?
Mark,
Great question.
Great question. Here's the answer. They shouldn't. And if their agent's paying attention, they're probably not going to. But the unfortunate truth of the matter is, some people are weird, and it can happen. It is not something that we tell people, hey, expect this to happen, because ultimately, if it's not staying with the property, you're not purchasing it, you're not supposed to go through it. But especially at open houses, I tell my sellers all the time, we don't know who's coming in the home all the time. I try to keep an eye on them, but if there's a group of people in there, they may get away from me. If you have valuables, if you have, prescription medication, firearms, any of these types of things, you need to make sure they're safeguarded in places. And if there's anything you don't want somebody to see, you might want to put it somewhere where they're never going to look.
And Mark, I got a great recommendation to make sure this, if it does happen, it only happens once. Get one of those snake cans that when they open up the drawer, they pop out and scare you. That'll stop that altogether.
That'll definitely do that.
Great question.
Good question.
This one came up today when we had a showing out, and I want to learn from this one as much as I'm sure you want to talk about it. We would love to hear about why Zillow estimates are inaccurate and how, well, that's a second question altogether. But we want to know about how Zillow estimates are inaccurate.
Okay, so this is a question I get from a lot of sellers. They call me out and they say, hey, I'd love to know what the value of my property is. Want to get it on the market. According to the Zestimate, it's XYZ. If you're looking at these automated valuation models on places like Zillow and all these other things, they are utilizing a mathematical algorithm that aggregates a ton of data into a specific place, and then they just determine what the valuation is based off certain criteria that they have. Now, here's the truth of the matter. They don't let us know what their algorithm is.
Right.
I don't know what all data they're propagating in there, but I do know that Spencer Raskoff, the guy who was the CEO of Zillow, sold his house for a lower value than was his own personal estimate on there.
Interesting.
The truth is valuing a property is more of an art than it is a science, and you've got to get in that house and take a look at what's actually happening inside that property. And I ask sellers all the time, when's the last time somebody from Zillow came and checked out your house to give you a proper estimate of value?
Exactly.
And they don't. And the truth of the matter is, a lot of times what people are doing is they're aggregating data across multiple types of properties that are not comparable in any way, and they're in a position where they're pulling values from commercial buildings versus residential properties, and they're just not comparable in any way, shape, or form. So there's definitely not a whole lot of merit to Zestimates a lot of times. Sometimes they are somewhat accurate. Sometimes the Zestimate's high. Sometimes the Zestimate's low. I think it's a great idea to make sure that you're hiring a professional to come in and give you a true picture of what the market value of that property is going to be. So it looks like we got some other questions coming in. Greg, what we got here?
Great information there on Zillow. We have a question here that says, my daughter wants to get a house. She has $1,500 in bills and she's living at home for now. Does the daughter want to get a house, or does mom want to get her out of the house? Just kidding there. Who can help get her in the right direction so she can get a mortgage?
Kimberly, great question here. Again, I always tell people it's great to talk to a realtor on this to find out their recommendation for a lender who can help them get pre-approved. Lenders are definitely the people who are going to have a better answer and give you a better picture and representation of what that affordability factor is going to be. Sending somebody to any old lender, just finding somebody offline is not the greatest thing. Everybody probably has seen the commercials for Quicken Loans, Rocket Mortgage, and all this stuff. Now, I don't want to slam Quicken Loans as a product in and of itself, but the truth is if you're going to use someone like Quicken Loans, you need to find a local representative or someone who you can actually go and talk to and build that relationship with, because you want to be able to put a face with the transaction. I always 100% say talk to local lenders to find out who you're comfortable with and ask all the questions that you need to, because there's a lot of different factors that play into that. Doesn't matter just necessarily what the bills are currently. They're going to look at all the factors like the debt to income ratio, any overtime could be factored into that income analysis. They're going to want verification of employment. They have certain stipulations on all the money that they can use as far as what constitutes verifiable sources of income or funds for a down payment. There's a lot of things that go into the financing side. So that is an absolutely great question. And Kimberly, if you want to know some recommendations on some lenders that I utilize, feel free to send me a message directly on the Aaron Advantage page here, and I would be happy to connect your daughter with some different lenders here in the local market that I utilize all the time who would really be able to help her out on that. So great question there. What else we got on here?
Now, correct me if I'm wrong. When it comes time to consulting a mortgage, it's okay to shop around.
Absolutely. It's actually recommended a lot of times. Not every single lender is created equally, and not all lenders are specifically going to be based only on the interest rate.
Right, exactly.
A lot of people are going to look at interest rate and nothing else, but there's different levels of service. There's different costs that are associated with that.
Tons of programs.
Tons of programs that are available. There are programs that are 0 down payment. There's some that are 1 down payment or 1% down payment. There's a lot of different options that are out there. So speaking to a lender and finding out specifically what works best for your situation is always the best place to start before you're even looking for homes, because knowing what you can afford, knowing what you're comfortable with is 100% better before we write an offer on that first home you fall in love with, because if you find the one you're in love with and then you find out you can't get it, ultimately that's just bad news for everybody involved, and that's something that I don't want to happen to anybody.
Right. All right, we're going to go on to some relocation questions here. Okay. How will using a real estate agent help me relocate to a preferred school district?
You know, that's a really good question, and I'm actually going to hand this one over to the former educator to give us a better idea on exactly how you can find out information on school districts.
Hey, there's a couple ways that you can do this. First of all, use Google at your advantage. Just 10 minutes ago, I Googled school map for EVSC, and it brought up every single school as it is allocated to its what district, okay? So you're able to narrow down exactly to the point where you're able to go. Now, there is a lot of hugabloo, I guess is a good word, about school choice. You have that option. However, you do have to go through a process and application. And don't be surprised if you get turned down because of overcrowded schools. The best thing that you can do, if you want to move into a certain area, you need to call the schools in the area that you're moving into and ask the secretaries. Secretaries are the best people in the school. They're the front of the face, and they'll tell you exactly what you need to know, what bus you'll ride, and how you can get to school. Once you pinpoint that on any of the corporation websites, then give your realtor a call. Say, hey, I know I want to be in Harrison School District. And give them a price range, and we'd be able to relocate you better knowing that criteria.
Yeah. Absolutely great information. And then I will point out and say that buying a home is a process of elimination more than it is a process of selection, especially with school districts and other things of that nature. You need to know what's most important to you before you purchase your home and relay that to your real estate agent, because it's going to help us find what works the best for you. Now, in a limited inventory market that we're experiencing right now, we may not be able to find the house that checks all the boxes, but we may be able to find the one that hits the things that are most important to you and make sure that your family's in the place where you definitely want to be. So that is a fantastic question. We have a lot of different resources out there. So anytime you have questions about the school district or anything else, lean into your realtor. They'll be able to help you out and point you in the right direction there.
All right. So still on the neighborhood question, what's a smart way to pick a neighborhood?
This is a great question.
Great question.
A lot of people always say, hey, what's a great way to pick a neighborhood? And again, buying a home is a process of elimination, not a process of selection. Everybody has different criteria on what they want for a neighborhood.
Right.
If you're looking for a house that's going to be close to shops or schools or anything like that, you need to let the agent know what that is, because there's different areas that are just going to be closer or have transportation options that are available. If you're looking specifically for just price point and you want to stay in an area that's going to be kind of median home prices in exactly the range where you want to be, let your realtor know that. If you're looking for a place that may be like the up-and-coming neighborhood and you're trying to get in and trying to do something where you have an opportunity to potentially have more future value down the road, let your agent know that. The truth is there's no real science to picking the perfect house, and there's nobody who really knows what the future value of every single property is going to hold. We're able to tell you kind of what the median prices have been doing or what they may do in the future based on projected projects that may be coming up, but ultimately we're trying to help you find what is the best for what you want at the time you're looking for it, with some idea of what prices have done in the past to give you some indication of what they may do in the future. We don't have a crystal ball. I get asked on a daily basis from almost all my clients, what do you think I can sell this house for in 10 years? Truth is, I don't know. Markets fluctuate.
That's right.
We do our valuations as we're looking at the property based upon what is going on with the market currently.
And honestly, a great way to figure out what kind of neighborhood you are, just get in the car. Just go drive around. Look at what's left and right of the building. Look but what's behind. And everybody has that neighborhood and that neighbor that spends way too much time in the yard watering their plants. Stop and talk to them and ask them what the neighborhood is like and see what kind of read you get. People can be your best ally when it comes to choosing a right neighborhood.
Yeah, and to go back on that, when you're driving around, I tell my buyers all the time, if you want to know what that neighborhood really looks like, come at different points in the day. Drive around morning, noon, and night just to get an idea of what's going on. If you live near a school and you may want to drive by around pick up and drop off times to see what the traffic may look like, that may have an impact on what you're looking for. So checking out the neighborhood is definitely something that you can do. I tell my buyers all the time, there's a right way and there's a wrong way, and the right way is to go out and do your research and check it out at multiple different points in the day.
All right, so if you're selling your house or you're buying a house, is a home warranty a waste of money or is it a good idea?
The age-old question of the home warranty. Everybody has stories, whether wonderful or terrible, about home warranties, and I can tell you that I've heard everything on the spectrum in between. I tell my buyers all the time, it's a better idea to have it and not need it than need it and not have it. And the truth of the matter is, it's an extra layer of added protection at certain points in time that may cover you. Now, home warranties are limited home warranties. They're limited in the scope of what they're going to cover. They're limited in the scope of how much they're going to pay out. I mean, that's the same thing as home insurance or anything else. Obviously, you hope it covers everything. You hope it's going to replace anything that goes wrong. The truth of the matter is, things happen. It's not always a perfect coverage plan, but it's an extra layer of added protection. they're a good way as a buyer to ask for that extra little bit of protection from the seller, especially if they've got older appliances or older water heater or things of that nature. Ask for it. The worst thing that can happen is they say no. I mean, I think they're a great idea. If you have the opportunity to ask for them, go ahead and ask for it. But it's definitely not something that's going to cover every single thing that might go wrong.
Right, and just like in mortgages, there's a ton of programs that can best meet your needs, from lower deductible to higher deductibles to excellent coverage. You just got to do your homework. Yeah. And that's something that if you ask a realtor, we can help you with you with that too.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. Next, I can speak to this a little bit. We've heard many horror stories about missed deadlines, poor quality, and construction flaws. Not that part. How do we go about picking the right custom home builder?
So this is a question that I see Phil Reinbrecht's watching. As a guy who works for a home builder or owns a home building company, you probably have heard this one before. Again, I've heard horror stories and wonder stories about all kinds of different contractors and builders. The truth of the matter is a lot of people just don't have realistic expectations sometimes on the front end of what's going on. Building a home is a complex process. It has lots of people coming and going. As a guy who just built a house, you probably understand what that's like. The truth is you're kind of at the mercy of all these other factors that the home builder may say, this is what we're going to try to do. These are the deadlines we're going to try to meet. But you've got storms. Yeah. You've got, not even storms necessarily in our area. We had hurricanes that put a shortage on lumber and timber in different times. We've had different times where people aren't getting the documents that are necessary to make sure that they're getting their draws pulled out in time for the different things for inspections.
Right.
I mean, knowing what you're getting into on the front end, especially with a custom home builder, having those conversations up front and knowing what your expectations should be is definitely the thing that I would recommend to everybody. But not only that, a lot of these custom home builders, especially in small communities, we have a lot of storms that go through that cause problems where people have emergency situations where these guys are getting out and they're volunteering to go and help these people who are in rough times and rough situations that could put a damper on you getting your home built. But the truth is, this is a normal thing. It's a flexible process. For a guy who just built a house, kind of tell him what you experienced.
Get involved in the process. We would stop out once every couple of days just to walk around and we would ask questions. It's okay to ask questions because this is your investment. So as long as you're involved in the process, if something doesn't seem right, approach the contractor in a politeful and delightful manner and ask them to verify what's going on. For example, when we had our house built, I thought we had asked for a 12 by 12 back patio, and it seemed to look rather small for me. I got out there and measured it, and it was 10 by 10. So we went back to the document, and sure enough, I forgot to check the 12 by 12 box. Classic Greg. And so we were able to resolve that. And that was a mistake on my part, but often you'll see some things that might come up as far as craftsmanship. And it's okay just to ask the question as long as you do it politely. And remember that these are people too.
Absolutely. 100%.
All right. So, what should I look for inside a house I'm interested in buying? We are torn between relatives giving us conflicting advice on the best timing to look at new listings. What should we do? That's a two-parter there, and it sounds like we have in-laws and outlaws and throwing in their advice there.
So,
let's start with the first one here. What should I look for when I'm interested in buying a house?
Okay, what you should look for if you're interested in buying a house is what you like and what you don't like.
Process of elimination.
Process of elimination. I've been in real estate for a long time, so there's going to be times where I see some certain things. Like, I'm not a home inspector. I'll tell you that right now. It's not my job to inspect the home. I'm not going to come in and tell you the condition of anything. But if you're in the process of buying a home and you're just going in looking for problems all the time, I can help you find problems because it's going to happen. That's not what you should be doing. What you should be doing when you're looking for a home is you should be looking exactly for what is best suiting your needs. As I said, process of elimination, not process of selection, especially in this limited inventory market. If you're picking apart homes looking for everything that's wrong, you're just focusing on the negatives, you're going to find them. And that's going to eliminate the few houses that are available that may be the perfect home for you with a little bit of work that you may not even realize. I tell people, focus on the layout. the floor plan, the things that are most important, like storage or whether or not there's enough living space, the big ticket items to make sure that you're good to go. Everything else we can figure out. We can take a look at it after you find out if this is the right property for you and negotiate the specifics of the details to get the deal done to make sure it is the right house for you on the back end.
And know that it's probably not going to be the last house you own. It's not right. So you're always going to be building equity up to that next thing that's going to be a little bit closer to your dream home. So if you're at 27 and you're freaking out that you can't find the house that's got everything you want, it's okay. You still have your entire life ahead of you. Just make sure that you write those down so that you know what to look forward in the future.
And I'm going to call out Jen and Mark Lush on this. This is my mom and stepdad. They had their forever house that I sold them about 4 years ago that they were downsizing. This is where they were going to be. This is where they were going to stay. And then at the beginning of this year, guess what? They moved again. It does happen no matter what age you are. The concept of a forever house is a foreign, abstract thought. I tell people all the time, if you call a house your forever house, you're destined to move again. So just assume that you're going to be building equity towards the next place.
Exactly. All right, so the second part of that question is, we are torn between relatives giving us conflicting advice. Tale as old as time. So they're giving them the conflicting advice on the best time to look at new listings. What should we do? Aaron, Greg, come to our rescue.
Yes, yes. So if they're not living in your house, you don't always necessarily want to listen to them. Now, parents, I know you don't like this advice, but it's the truth of the matter. You're the one who's going to be making the payment, living in the house, so maybe you should go ahead and listen to the advice of your real estate agent. Now, I think the question is specifically on the best timing of the year to look at new listings, and there's a little bit of give and take on there. As I've mentioned several times in this video, we are in a limited inventory market. You have to be a little bit more reactive in this market as a buyer than you do at other points in time because there's just not as much available for you to take a look at. It's a fact of the matter. It's the truth. If your agent's calling you saying, hey, we should go check out this house, it's not going to last long. It's not a sales tactic in this market. It really may not last that long. I've had homes that sell in as short as 6 hours on the market. So it is tight. If there's a hot property, chances are you're going to be competing, so be able to get out there and take a look. Now, I think what the question, kind of the heart of the question is it best to look at a new listing in the summer versus the fall or spring or winter? Every day is a good day to look at a house. What you really need to focus on is the negotiating tactics that are associated with the time of year. If you're looking at a house during the winter when there's not a whole lot of other buyers who are looking at a home, you may have a bit better advantage as a buyer in negotiating a lower price on the property. If you're going in the summer, especially like right now when you're going in guns a-blazing with 4 other people who are writing offers on the same property, you got to be a little bit more strategic in how much money am I willing to throw at it? How many contingencies would I possibly be willing to forego, or what am I most comfortable and confident in doing? And you really got to lean into your real estate agent on that. They are there to guide you through the process to represent your interests to make sure that you're getting taken care of.
And also, you as the consumer, you need to focus on a couple other parameters. Like if you're leasing, when's a good time to break your lease? What kind of, when can you get possession of the house? Is it immediate? Is it 30 days, or do you have to negotiate something different? So there's some other parameters from the contract point of view that you really need to consider when making a timeline too.
Yeah,
okay?
100%.
All right, we got time for a couple more?
We'll do 2 more questions.
Two more. Let's see. I like this one right here. We have a lot that we have a lot that we have owned for several years. We're ready to buy a new home. Should we build on the lot or just look for a new home and maybe sell the lot? There's a lot of variables in there, isn't there?
A ton of variables in this one, and this is really a loaded question. Here's what I would have to say on that one. If you are in a position where you own a lot, it's a great time to get in and talk to a builder to find out exactly what you can afford on building that lot. Now, here's the truth. If money was no object, the great thing about building a home is you can make it exactly 100% what you want. Right. You can go in. I mean, Greg, you just built with big box builder, we would say.
Right.
They build a lot of spec homes and other things. Tell them how many selection choices you still had with something that's a pre-planned floor plan.
Well, it's mind-blowing. A minimum of 10 for everything. Doorknobs. Hey, here's 10 choices. And you can upgrade from there. You want cabinets? Okay, here, you have 5 choices of 10. So you have 50 choices. I had a best friend that built his house from scratch and about lost his mind. And I almost lost my mind going through 10 choices for, what's the toilet paper going to hang on. So you can really customize anything that you want. And if it's not there, it's not off the table. So they can always negotiate that in for you as well.
Yeah. So if you're the kind of person who hates having all those choices where you're like, hey, you can have this or this or this, and you're like, I hate that, I just want to go somewhere else, find what I like already put together, maybe it's best to find an existing home to purchase. But if you're the kind of guy like me who wants to make everything customized exactly the way you want, building would be the better way to go. The truth is, you've also got to weigh the options between your costs, because there is a difference in cost of something that's pre-existing versus building a home. Building a home is generally going to cost you a little bit more. But guess what? You're paying for the convenience of making it your own. So go ahead and lean into that if that's what you want to do. If you're really just trying to get the biggest bang for your buck, find the most space for the smallest amount of money, and maybe time to go find an existing home, purchase that property, because guess what? You still have the opportunity to update that thing to make it exactly what you want as well. And then if you've already got the lot, hang on to it if you want to. A lot of times unimproved property is going to be low taxes. Maybe down the road you decide, I want to buy this other house. I want to go ahead, I want to make it somewhat my own right now and improve the equity position that I have so that when you're ready to, you can go and build that custom home. And again, lean into a realtor. We have relationships with great home builders who are going to be able to get you taken care of and give you exactly what you want.
Can I throw you a curveball as our last question?
Sure.
I didn't know what's coming. Okay, so if your wife's anything like my wife,
she is.
Yeah, they hang it all the time. Does she love HGTV?
Oh gosh, yes. I come home all the time and say, "Can we please turn this off?"
What kind of picture do you think HGTV has done for the real estate market?
Oh, and viewers of Real Talk Real Estate,
I've been thinking about this one today.
You know where I'm coming from on this one. HGTV is both a blessing and a curse, and really pretty much the bane of the existence of a lot of realtors. The good thing they do is they really hammer home to a lot of people on a lot of these shows. You should have a real estate agent. You should have a property expert. You should have someone come in and take care of these things for you. The thing that they do that we all hate as real estate agents is, hey, guess what? I bought this house for $100,000. I put $5,000 in repairs in it. I'm going to sell it for $200,000. It's just not realistic. The truth of the matter is, most of the stuff on HGTV is specifically those last two letters, the TV.
Right, okay. All right.
They're trying to make it reality television, but the truth is the only thing real about it is the fact that there's people spending money on real estate. It is one of the largest investments that most people hold. That is the best way to build wealth in the United States. So I love that about HGTV. It's got a lot of people excited about owning real estate and updating real estate and remodeling real estate, which I think is awesome. I just think they've done a horrible job about setting realistic expectations on what can actually happen in the homes that people own.
So you mean to tell me that there's not hardwood under every carpet and shiplap behind every wall?
Definitely not. Especially if your home was built in the 80s. You know what's underneath that carpet? It's some pretty nasty particle board that if you're going to take it up and put a hard surface flooring down, a lot of times you're going to run into a position where you're going to have to tear all that out as well.
Oh, I think we got to take one more before we're done.
Oh, this one from Alex here?
This is one from Alex. What's the risk of trying to sell your home yourself? That's just a question mark.
Yeah.
Okay.
Alex, this is a great question, and this is one that a lot of people ask a lot of times, especially in a limited inventory market where it seems like homes are just flying off the shelf. Some people think, hey, no harm, no foul, put a for sale sign up myself, I'll just get it going. There's a lot of statistics out there that show that most of the homes that are listed as for sale by owner homes generally end up selling with a real estate agent. Now, the ones that don't sell with a real estate agent, a lot of the times those are sold to people who already know the seller, who are friends or family members. Some of the risks of trying to get it sold yourself are, like I stated earlier, if you're going off that AVM number, like the Zestimate or anything like that, trying to figure out the value, you may really undersell your home and put it up for a value much less than you may have been able to get if you get a market analysis from a real estate agent. Not only that, whenever you go through the negotiation process of looking at the types of financing and other things that buyers are looking at, you may not know exactly all the terms of the financing that they're going with that may have other stipulations that have an impact on what you can or can't do or things you have to fix. Let's say you have somebody who's buying your home with an FHA loan. A lot of people don't realize this, but there's condition requirements with that FHA loan that the seller has to take care of in order for the financing to go through. And if you're agreeing to that up front, it may end up up costing you extra money. Not only that, if you don't have someone going to bat for you on the home inspection side, you may end up spending a ton of money with different vendors because you don't know who can come in and take care of the big list of items, such as electrical, plumbing, HVAC, things of that nature.
Or even know which ones to negotiate and leave alone.
Absolutely. Right. So I see sellers all the time doing that in a for sale by owner setting where they get a list of all these repairs, they look at it, they're just completely overwhelmed. They're like, I don't know where to go, how to do this, or what needs to be done and what doesn't, and end up spending a lot more money on those repairs as well. Other things are, how do we handle taxes? How do we handle possession? How do we get the title work done? What the heck's a title company? Do I need an attorney? All these questions are things that realtors handle behind the scenes that people don't know about, and we really protect the interests of all the parties involved. So there are a lot of risks about trying to sell your home yourself. What we do is not just open doors and show people properties. We guide them through the process of all the pitfalls that may arise and really try to look out for their interests because we have experience doing this time and time and time again. If you're going to a heart surgeon, do you want somebody who does it 3 to 5 times in their lifetime, or do you want somebody who does it every single day, day in and day out, making sure that they're taking care of you? Professionals, we do get paid for the service that we provide. It does cost a lot of money to a lot of people at times, but the truth of the matter is, in the end run, there's a lot of stats that show that people who list their property with a realtor end up netting more money in their pocket than they may have if they tried selling it themselves.
And sells quicker. FC Tucker puts a lot into their advertisement, especially digital advertisement, professional photography. Your home will sell quicker and for more money. Absolutely.
I've got a listing presentation book over here, but I could tell you, the homes that we're selling at FC Tucker MG Realtors, especially last year, we have statistics to show that we're selling homes 5% faster and for 13% more than our competitors in the marketplace. So absolutely 100% listing with a realtor is the way to go. So tonight, I think we went a little bit longer than I even realized.
So we had fun.
We had a lot of fun with this. So I hope you guys enjoyed this. This Ask Us Anything episode. We'd love to do more of this stuff. If you have any topics you want us to talk about, let us know in the comments down below, or you can send us a message here on the Aaron Advantage page on Facebook, or give me a call anytime at 812-779-6273, or hit up Greg
at 812-454-8103.
Be sure to give this video a like and share it with your friends or anyone you know who's looking to make a move, and tune in every Monday night at 9 for Real Talk Real Estate. We will see you next week.
Thanks, guys.